called route groups. Typically, nested folders are mapped to URL paths. You know that, file-based routing, right? But you can mark a folder as a route group to prevent the folder from being included in the URL path. And this is used for two reasons: organizing routes into groups or enabling nested layouts, which is exactly what we want to do. And the only thing you have to do to implement nested layouts is wrap the folder name within parentheses, such as this. So let's remove this page and let's create a new folder called root, like this. And within it, we can create a new page.tsx and a layout that will only be used for this route group, which of course will have that sidebar. In the page right now, we can run RAFCE, which will create a simple React arrow function with an export, and we can call it home. We can also say home right here, or you can even call it a dashboard. For the root layout, we can copy what we have in the original app layout and paste it there, but it will be much simpler. We don't need to import the metadata, nor the fonts, nor the global CSS. We only have to export a single layout, remove all of the class names from the body. We don't need the body at all, nor the HTML. Rather, we'll return a semantic main tag, as this will be our main part of the content, inside of which we're going to show a sidebar. So let's write sidebar here. And right below the sidebar, we'll render the children. Does this make sense? So we have this primary layout, which is mostly used to just wrap it with different fonts, styles, or metadata. And then we have a special layout, which will be used for all of the main components, such as the home, dashboard, transactions, all components that use a sidebar. And then we're going to have a separate route group right here called auth, which will have its own layout.tsx, which we can copy right now from the root layout, paste it here, but this one won't have the sidebar and it will be a bit different. Okay, that's the idea. And while we're creating the file and folder structure, within our auth, we're going to have two new pages or folders for now: sign in, which will have its own page.tsx, where we can run RAFCE and call it sign in. And we're going to have another folder called sign-up, inside of which we'll have a page.tsx, and there we can run RAFCE, and it's going to be called sign up. If this RAFCE isn't working for you, it's basically just a shortcut to generate this snippet of code, and it's coming from an extension, ES7 Plus, React Redux React Native Snippets. So you can simply install it, reload your Visual Studio Code, and it should work. But with that in mind, I hope that you now understand how these route groups work. If it's still a bit unclear, you can browse the docs or check out the Ultimate Next.js course, where we have a dedicated section just on routing. As you can see, we start with routing, the core architecture of Next.js, and then immediately go over the multiple layouts and group the routes. But for now, we might as well run our application and explore it in action. So let's run npm run dev to run our application for the first time, and let's open it up on localhost 3000. There we go, it's running. And I want to give you a white screen flash warning. If you're in a dark room on a dark monitor, the whole screen will now turn white. 3, 2, 1, and there we go. We are on our homepage. So you can see here that we're on localhost 3000 and we have a sidebar and then the homepage, right? That's the idea. And if we now go to /sign-in, you'll see that it's just sign in without the sidebar. That's the idea. And you might be wondering, why am I not going to root and then /? Or why am I not going to auth and then sign in? This is a 404. Why is that the case? Why is it just sign in without auth? Well, when you create route groups, they're not added to the file-based routing. They're just used for you to create a layout and create meaningful grouping. Then only the folders within it that don't have the parentheses within them count as additional routes. Cool. So now we have our layout. We also have our homepage on localhost 3000, and that means that we are ready to start creating the layout. Great job on coming this far, and I have to be honest, this was the most boring part of the video. But now we dive into the exciting stuff, creating the layout with a nice sidebar, modern UI, and immediately showing this welcome message, which you need in every application, and you'll see it much more often nowadays, as the goal of modern web applications is personalization. Even on JSMastery.pro, we have recently added it here. It just makes the experience that much better. Next, we'll immediately learn how to use Chart.js to create this simple chart and add the total current balance. So with that in mind, we can soon start with the homepage, but I also want to do something special for this course to improve your learning experience. And that is push the current code to GitHub and continue adding new commits consistently as we go feature by feature. So that way, if you get stuck up to this point, you'll be able to check the code base at a specific point in time. And that way, it'll be easier for you to debug. And if you want to, you can also commit your code whenever I push. That way, you'll get into the good habit of committing consistently. So let's go to GitHub and go to this plus button and click New Repository. I'm gonna call it Banking, and I will make it public. I wanna make sure that all of the projects that I ever post are completely free and open source. That way, you can learn from them, you can take the code and do whatever you want with them, even for paid courses. Yep, you heard that right. In the Ultimate Next.js course, you will build and develop Dev Overflow, which is a modern Stack Overflow clone applications packed with features. It has AI built in, a complete recommendation system, complete global search, code blocks, what you see is what you get editor, and more. And we build all of this within the course. And if you go to my GitHub profile and search for Overflow, you can immediately see a Stack Overflow Next.js 14 course, and the complete code for this entire project is available for free on GitHub. Feel free to check it out and give it a star. And if you like what you're seeing, you might want to follow along and have me teach you how to do it. With that in mind, I will create a new repository, and we can use the help here to push our existing code to it. So going back to our application, we have now done a lot of work. Our entire initial file and folder structure has been done. So let's open up the terminal. Let's actually split it so we have more space to work here. And I'm gonna say git init to initialize our repo. Then we can do git add dot to add all of the current files to it. And then say something like git commit -m. And then we can add our commit message and say something like implement initial file and folder structure. Another pro tip, whenever you're writing these commit messages, always write it in imperative form, which means you have to say implement, not implementing or implemented. That's because you should be asking yourself the question, what will this commit do when merged to main? This commit will implement initial file and folder structure. It's just the most common practice that is used across development companies of all sizes around the world. So now you know how to do it. Let's press enter. Then we need to branch over to the main. We only have to do this at the start. Git branch -m main and git remote add origin and git push u origin main. We only have to do these at the start. With that, we can now close this terminal. You can see no more files are being tracked by our source control. And if we reload our page, you can see all of the existing files are here. What I also like to do is immediately add some kind of a description. We can copy the one from our primary layout, which we have here. Horizen is a modern banking platform for everyone. For now, we can leave the website empty. You can add some of the topics, Next.js 14, and remove all of these here. That's gonna make it a bit cleaner. And now for every other commit, let me show you how you'll be able to get access to the code up to that specific point of building this application. You go to commits right here. you click on a specific commit. You can see this is the initial one, and then this is the one that we have added right now. You can see all the changes, and this might be enough for you. But if you want to get a snapshot of the entire code base at the time when this commit was added, you just click Browse Files right here at the top. And then you have the complete file and folder structure up to that point of building the application. So whenever we implement some of the feature, we'll try to remember to do a quick push.